to us about the mood, what you've seen when you've been out there on the streets, and Mark's also pointing this out, a lot of that misinformation, that disinformation that's out there, a lot of emotions and frustration, and you're there, you're living there, you've been through this for 3 weeks now in hopes that it's going to end this weekend, but give us a sense, Graham.
I'm quite full of despair about what's out there. I don't believe that this is a fringe. I believe that the people who are out there represent a significant chunk of the country. I don't know how much. And they don't feel listened to. They don't believe me, as you can see with Evan. They don't believe mainstream media, and we understand that now. But to that very reasoned protester, that father that Evan spoke with, they don't feel listened to, and they don't feel like they have any option. So as we get through this, people are going to have to deal with that, people in power. What does this mean, for instance, on the right, on the Conservative side of Canada? What about the Conservative Party itself? How closely do they align themselves with a significant part of this group which holds some very extreme views, some conspiracy theories, not all of them. Many of them are like that young man there, that father, who believes his kids have had enough. They don't believe a lot of what the media and the public health officials are telling them, and they feel frustrated to the point of exhaustion, and they're going to come camp for 3 weeks and shut down the city of Ottawa. Mm-hmm. The other side of that, Angie, I just want to read this from one of our viewers. Not being critical of Evan, but she's like, I have to change the channel. I'm an Ottawa resident, and this is very frustrating. These conspiracy theorists cannot be reasoned with. Please, Evan, stop giving them the mic. Yeah. So there's a significant chunk of the city of Ottawa in particular that has been turned into a law and order kind of view on things because their city has been taken over. In many of the cases, their lives have been taken over. That I can't stress to people around the country how devastating it has been, how disruptive it has been. Like, think about this. If you are someone who's maybe suffering from a concussion or has a learning disability or is just an ordinary person living in an apartment in Centertown, downtown Ottawa, imagine what it's like to have 400 trucks invade your neighborhood, not leave, and blast their horns for hours and hours and hours for days on end. It was torture. And then, on top of that, to have absolutely no help come right away from any level of government or the police. It was very, very unsettling. Mm-hmm. Caused me personally to question how strong we were as a society, how strong our institutions are. And regardless of the debate we're having over Emergencies Act, which is important, the question of whether Trudeau has overstepped or not is an important question. But just that fundamental shake to the sense of security, of order, of normalcy has really hit my city very, very hard. It will take years, I believe, for people here to recover from this. This will be a touchstone for many, many years to come about how things went wrong and how not to do things. And I don't mean to point fingers of blame, that's later, but just in terms of the normal citizens being shaken by this. And I said to Lois earlier, and I'll leave it at this, I had a call from a viewer, Debbie, early on in this, 3 days in. She was in a wheelchair, her son couldn't get her groceries, and she called us for help because she was running out of food and she couldn't get out of her apartment. That's who I'm thinking about through this entire terrible ordeal for the country and for the city of Ottawa.
Yeah, indeed. And in the midst of all this, as you point out, Graham, there is that debate that is happening in Parliament over the Emergencies Act. But I think you point out it is a much bigger picture in all of this in terms of what this means for the future of the country.
Absolutely. And look, I'm a political person. I covered politics for years. Did Pierre Poilievre make the right call in supporting the truckers and other Conservatives in supporting the truckers and trying to support parts of the truckers, but at the same time saying it's now time to go home, which eventually the leader of the Conservative Party, Candice Bergen, came around to, before suggesting earlier that they should try to make this Trudeau's problem and allow the truckers to dig in? I don't know the answer to that. I do know there's a lot of conservatives who are so angry at Mr. Trudeau, and I mean small c conservatives, that they were thrilled in the early days that these people were sticking it to government and shutting down a government town. But there are larger questions now about what that means going forward, and whether and how close mainstream parties should get to these types of movements, because it can be dangerous. And like I say, don't get me wrong, I don't know what the answer is to that. And certainly, Mr. Trudeau didn't help things when he painted them all as extremists and he used the language he did. I've got family and friends in Western Canada who cannot believe the Prime Minister of the country would say those things at that time. And that is a legitimate criticism. But going forward as this ends, where does that leave both left, right, and center? We've got police in the streets, thousands of them, taking back the Parliament of Canada after 3 weeks. That in itself is extraordinary. And the notion that sleepy old Ottawa would become international news for weeks at a time is just a great shame for the country, regardless of where you stand on what these people have to say.